So I'm all about making the game safer. But as a defensive player, I'm not a big fan of it, but I get it. Again, I can speak for a lot of guys that play the game. We live and breathe, and this is what we're so passionate about. Literally, if I had a perfect place to die, I would die on the field. I would be at peace. I would be at peace, and that's not a lie. Like, it's so much sacrifice that we go through as a team, and just connecting as one and winning ball games. It's nothing like playing the game of football. But again, I'm all about making the game safe. That's all I can say about it.
More of the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920, The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in to the Zach Gelb Show right here on Fox Sports 920, The Jersey. 609-919-9200 is the number if you want to hop on board with us as we broadcast to you live from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. That was Jets safety, the rookie Jamal Adams, yesterday at Jets training camp, and a little conversation with a bunch of fans and the commissioner and Roger Goodell. I didn't have a problem with what Jamal Adams did say. Some people do, because it's a very sensitive topic when you get into player safety and also CTE. Let's go out to the hotline now and welcome in someone that was at Jets camp yesterday, has been all over the place, has seen the Giants, has seen the Eagles, has seen the Ravens and the Redskins today, and the Cowboys as well. And that's the always diligent Brian Baldinger from the NFL Network, who's kind enough to hop on board with us right now. Baldy, appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for the time, and how are you?
I'm doing good, Zach. I'm just watched the morning practice with the Ravens, and I'm getting down to Richmond right now to go check out the Redskins, and so kind of making a camp tour and kind of seeing what I could learn and what I could pick up, and some of these players that are looking pretty good, like Tim Williams at Baltimore, the third-round pick out of Alabama, looks like he's going to be a heck of a prospect.
Well, I love it. You're going everywhere, and this is why the training camp period is so much fun. But we played you the Jamal Adams cut. I know you're at the Jets camp yesterday. Hey, I'll give my opinion on this, and I've been blasted for it on Twitter because I've been defending the kid. We all know CTE is a serious issue. We all know player safety is a very important issue. But when you hear that entire cut that I just played for you, I just came away from it that he has a great passion for the game. He loves the team element of football, the hardworking element of football. And I thought he was just saying yesterday he would do whatever it takes to have a successful football career. How about yourself with the comments of Adams yesterday?
Well, that's what he is. He's a great kid. He's a great player. He's going to be a great player. But why are the Jets putting a 21-year-old rookie up there on the panel with a commissioner like that? I mean, the commissioner was in Baltimore last week, and the Ravens put up 14-year veteran Benjamin Watson and Eric Weddle up there. There's just look, there's a great place for Jamal Adams to be in front and center for the Jets and to face the Jets for a long time. It's just not in a position where he could be fielding questions like he was asked yesterday. It's just hard. He doesn't have a perspective on what has happened to players and what has happened to some of our fallen heroes. So it's just a tough predicament for him. And I just hate that people are judging him off that for what he said yesterday without really having any sort of idea about the long-term effects of this game. And so really the Jets, I think, could have been a little bit better and wiser about who they put up in front of that panel yesterday.
Hey, Baldy, I see you every year at Radio Row, and we all know that there's always people talking about player safety because it's such an imperative topic now with all the research and the information that we have. And we just saw the CTE study that was released the other day, and it's very alarming statistics, and it's scary. With all that being said, we know the dangers of football now, and we know the unfortunate things that can happen to people that they suffer from their playing career. Where do you think the future of the sport is heading in right now?
Well, I believe football is what helps make America great. I mean, it teaches so many life lessons, from discipline to teamwork to when you get knocked down, get back up. I don't know where kids are going to go to get that type of structure if there's no football. I think the direction we're going is good. I think I was just at Ravens practice, and they've got various tackling dummies that they do their drills on now, and teams are adjusting. Pete Carroll's put out a great video about taking the head out of the game. we're seeing fewer and fewer really serious collisions. They're being penalized, and they're being told that that's not the way to play the game, and those are good things. We have to keep emphasizing, keep studying, keep making improvements to the game. But I think the game is going to survive. I think it's a great game. It's America's pastime. It's their passion. They have to. We just have to continue to monitor things right now.
Talking to Brian Baldinger of the NFL Network right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Let's move away from the Jets and this issue, and we know it's a very important one, and let's head over to the New York Football Giants. You've seen them before in training camp. We know that the season that they just had was very impressive, but that offensive line is the one thing that could hold them back this year. What do you make out of the offensive line situation?
Well, I mean, Bobby Hart is 22 and Eric Flowers is 23 years old. I mean, they're young kids. You've got to allow their offensive line coach, Mike Solari, to continue to work with them. Look, it's a pivotal position. I think they're fine inside, with what they have. I just think there's an awful lot right now on these two tackles to protect better and for the Giants as a team to run the ball better. It's the one Achilles heel right now of this football team. They've got to run the ball better. They've got to protect Eli. And if they can do that, the Giants are right in the mix in the NFC to represent the NFC. Everything else is there. So you still got to go play the games, but I think you got to allow these kids to, and they are kids, they're young. There's, one started 1 year, one started 2 years. That's all they have. I do think that they're time to develop, and if they develop, they're on a good arc. We don't know if they're not right now. We don't know where they are until they really start the games. I think that the Giants are going to be hard to handle. They beat the Cowboys twice last year. No team made a greater defensive jump in this league a year ago than Steve Spagnuolo's defensive squad, and I think they're going to be better this year. But an awful lot falls on those two particular tackles that I've talked about.
Who do you think is a better team right now, the Giants or the Cowboys?
Well, I think the Giants beat them twice last year. They went there and beat them week one. And I think their team is better than they were a year ago. But I don't know who's better right now. I mean, it's hard to say. I think the Giants match up well with them. They had the best red zone defense in the league by a mile last year. They kept the Cowboys out of the end zone. They defended well in that part of the field. I'm not saying they have the Cowboys' number because the Cowboys love to have a few more plays in either game. They're both very close. I think both teams are very, very close right now. And if whatever team improves their weaknesses best, quickest, the Cowboys got to replace a lot of secondary players, a lot of guys in the defensive line. Whatever team addresses their weaknesses earlier will probably get the heads up on each other.
Wrapping up with Brian Baldinger right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Hey, let's stay in the NFC East. We all know the Eagles are very big in this area, of course, and now they have their franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz. We saw him year number one, very impressive. Now Wentz has some weapons to hop on board that Wentz wagon. What do you expect the second year out of the Eagles quarterback?
I expect great growth. I think he's a phenomenal talent. He's a great kid, and he wants to be great, and he does everything necessary to be great. So he's a fiery competitor. He doesn't have to be told twice what to do. I expect most great players, make their biggest jump between the rookie season and their second season. And I expect that from Carson Wentz. As an organization, the Eagles are never going to stop building around Carson. They supplanted him with offensive line help this year, running back help, receivers help. Coaches help, new wide receiver coach. They're never going to stop building around him, and that's the right approach.
Baldy, while we have you here, your thoughts on the Alan Barber trade that they just made last week?
I just think that they feel like they've got a lot of depth. They've got a lot of young players like Isaac Seumalo and Halapoulivaati Vitae, and I think they've got some young players that they want to give those reps to right now. And I think they feel good about Chance Warmack and what he can do. So I think they feel like they've upgraded the backup positions. And a guy like, Alan Barber, who's been really a key figure, playing a variety of positions the last 4 years, feel like they think they've got younger players right now that can grow into that role of Alan Barber.
Yeah, I look at this offense, and I really like it with the additions they brought in with Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith, LeGarrette Blount, and some of the other depth that they have at the running back position. Some people, though, the early really sentiment in Eagles camp is people are pretty hopeful, though, with Nelson Aguilar. I'm not someone that is very hopeful for Nelson Aguilar. What type of expectations do you have, and what do you think he needs to do this year in order to have a decent season, Baldy?
Well, I think it's all about confidence. And, look, he got in front of Mike last year, and, after Seattle said that he didn't have any confidence. They sat him down, and players can lose confidence. I mean, we saw it happen to the league MVP last year, Cam Newton. We'll see tomorrow morning. I mean, players lose confidence. It happens. But you can also build back your confidence. He was a great talent, and he was drafted at the right spot out of USC. He's got to get back to that level. And so the pressure isn't on him. They've got two other guys that can start. They're moving him around. He's playing some inside right now. He still has good speed. He's still good after the catch. I think there's still a chance for Nelson Aguilar. I'm not ready to write him off, and I don't think the Eagles are ready to write him off either.
All right, let's get to the defense of the Birds. We know the front seven's very good. The defensive line should be a destructive force, but you look at that back end, there's nothing positive, and I know it's very early, but there's nothing positive to say about it right now, and we knew that was going to be a problem about a month ago. How do they defend the pass? Because they're in a division that we all know has a lot of talented wide receivers.
Well, when you say the back end, I think Rodney McLeod and Malcolm Jenkins are in good shape there, at the safety position. Now, look, they just signed a corner yesterday. They're just going to keep throwing guys out there, and you got to allow Rasul Douglas time. You're not going to see Sidney Jones for a long time, if at all, this year. Patrick Robinson, I mean, we know all the names. They're going to play the best players. I mean, I wouldn't rule out Terrence Brooks. He's a guy that nobody wants to talk about, but I think Joe Douglas and Andy Weidel, who are running this organization now, know him very well from Baltimore. That's where he came from. Very competitive kid. They're going to play their best players. I have high hopes still for Jalen Mills. So, well, it's not the Legion of Boom here. Nobody is saying that it is. They can make up some with the great pass rush. The safeties are in good shape. If they can keep things in front of them, that helps. And look, you win with technique in this league. Allow them to go through training camp, all of them, to go through training camp and harness their techniques, because that's what's going to win for you on Sunday. So, I have a lot of faith in Jim Schwartz and how he runs the defense and what he demands and what he's looking for. So they're not going to put scrubs out there. They'll make trades. They'll find guys off the scrap heap. They found Al Harris one year out of Tampa, became an all-pro player in Philadelphia. I mean, there's options, and it's early. So I'm still hopeful that they're going to field a very good squad defensively.
What's your pulse on this team in terms of wins?
Yeah, look, I think on the low side, it's 8. And on the high side, if they can come together and anybody can pick players, but can you build a team? If they build a team, they've got a lot of guys that have the right attitude. Chris Long, guys that really like and love the game. If they come together as a team, can win some big games that are in the balance early and gain some confidence early. On the upside, I think this team can win 11 games. But I think somewhere between that 8 and 11 mark, probably 9 or 10 is a fair amount. It's a very, very tough schedule to start. To go on the road to Washington and then Kansas City is about as tough a start as any team in this league right now.
Now, when we talk about success with the Eagles, I still think this could be a successful season for them and them not make the playoffs. Like, I defined success this year for the Eagles based off 3 things. Number 1, the improvement of the quarterback. Number 2, just being better record-wise than where you were last year, so being better than 7 wins. But the final one, and this is one that gives people a lot of dubious feelings here in Philadelphia, is the coach good enough? Because we saw some bad decisions from him last year. The coach, do you think he's good enough to have some success in this league?
Well, coaches are allowed to improve as well. And so, they've made improvements to the staff. The wide receiver coach, Mike Rowe, is an upgrade over what they had. That's going to help. With the weapons they have, I think Doug could be a better play caller than he was last year. I think he was very limited in what he could do. And that was reflective maybe in the Giants game of trying to be maybe too aggressive early, thinking they needed those touchdowns early in the game rather than just settle for points. I mean, I think you could be a little clouded in judgment based on not having very many playmakers. So I think Doug's allowed to, to be really examined this year, and carefully, and he is. He's being examined by the guys that are in control of this organization right now. So I'm really very much willing to give Doug an opportunity this year to go prove himself as a head coach.
Hey, Baldy, I'll end you on this because I know you're very busy today and you're going around to every camp, and it's been fun to follow you on Twitter and Instagram and just seeing your journey. Hey, we all know the big names in the AFC and the NFC, the Patriots, Raiders, Steelers, Packers, Giants, and Cowboys. Give me a team in both conference that maybe people aren't talking about right now that you think could surprise some people this year.
Well, I'm going to see the Carolina Panthers tomorrow morning. And I know nobody wants to talk about Carolina after being 6-10, but they were 15-1 the year before, and the quarterback didn't play well, but he wasn't the only problem of that team. I believe that Carolina, in a very tough division, they can bounce back. I think they got a good coaching staff. I think Ron Rivera is very underrated. I think Cam Newton, is hungry to prove people wrong. I can see Carolina bouncing back this year. Look, I think San Diego can be good. I know they're playing in a soccer stadium in Carson, but they've got a lot of talent, and they've been accruing a lot of talent. And if those two guards they drafted, Forrest Lamp and Dan Feeney from Indiana, if those guys can really step in and play and man those positions, and you protect Phillip Rivers, he's proven that he's a very good quarterback.
Well, Baldy, enjoy all the trips. We appreciate it as always. Thanks for the insight.
You got it, Zach. Take care, buddy.